present to you malaria. So the objectives I'm going over today is introduction, background, causes, occurrence, and transmission, who is infected, diagnosis and treatment, symptoms, prevention, experience, my bibliography, and I'll open the floor to questions, comments, and constructive criticism. So 3.4 billion people live in an area that are at the risk of malaria transmission, and the World Health Organization estimated that malaria caused 207 million clinical episodes and 627,000 deaths. In the early 1950s, malaria was eradicated from the United States, and approximately about 1,500 to 2,000 cases of malaria are reported every year. Malaria comes from the Italian word meaning bad air, and malaria was around for about 4,000 years now. And the first recorded discovery of malaria was in November 6, in 1880 by a French army surgeon named Charles Louis Alphonse Laveran. He noticed that there was unidentified parasites in the bloodstreams of a patient who was suffering from malaria. Malaria is caused by a parasite called Plasmodium falciparum, and the parasite infects a certain type of mosquito called Anopheles mosquitoes. And where malaria occurs, it depends on the climate factors such as temperature, humidity, and rainfall. And malaria is transmitted mostly in tropical and subtropical areas. And 4 alternate ways of malaria transmission in the United States is mosquito-borne malaria, airport malaria, congenital malaria, and transmission-transmitted malaria. Mosquito-borne malaria is the most common in the United States, and it's transmitted through the bites of mosquitoes. Airport malaria is when infected mosquitoes are transported by aircraft from malaria endemic country to non-malaria endemic countries. And if the weather conditions are substantial, infected mosquitoes can survive to bite local residents. And congenital is one of the rare transmissions in the United States. It's when infected mothers transmit the parasites to their infants during pregnancy, before or after delivery. And transmitted malaria is also rare, and the parasites are transmitted from one person's blood to another. And who infected are travelers that travel to malaria endemic countries, and that they are more likely to get malaria. And this disease has infected approximately 219 million people each year, with an estimate of 660,000 deaths, and most of the victims were children in Africa. And the total deaths were 92% of the deaths occurred in Africa. And now for symptoms, the incubation period varies from 7 to 30 days. The disease can be categorized in 2 types: uncomplicated malaria and severe malaria. And the uncomplicated malaria consists of cold stage, hot stage, and sweating stage. The symptoms of the cold stage is just a sensation of cold and shivering, and the hot stage is just symptoms of fevers, headaches, vomiting, and seizures in young children. And the sweating stage includes sweats, temperature reduction, and tiredness. And in rare cases, severe malaria includes cerebral malaria, impairment of consciousness, seizures, and a coma. Diagnosis and treatment. Malaria is diagnosed based on a patient's travel history, symptoms, and physical findings of examination. And for more accurate diagnosis, laboratory tests must be conducted on the malaria parasites or their components. Most drugs used in the treatments are active against the parasites that form in the blood. That includes Malarone, Cortem, Valerium, Clandestine, and Artesunate. And prevention, most people use medicines and drugs like doxycycline, chloroquine, primaquine, valerium, and malaria. And experience-side researchers want to determine the incident and seasonal patterns of malaria in children in southwest Burkina Faso, and they want to compare characteristics in their randomized trials tested to detect parasites by active and passive surveillance. And the method used for this experiment, that the first group was monitored actively, and each children was to be visited twice weekly, and the climatic temperature was measured. And if a child gets a fever or has a history of fevers, a malaria rapid diagnostic test was performed and a blood smear was collected. And the second group, they were monitored passively. The child's parents or caregiver was asked to bring his child to the nearest clinic if he was unwell. And the results such conclusion that the passive case detection required at least a 30 to 40% increase in the sample size for vaccine trials compared to active detection to achieve the same power. And the conclusion that the incident was highly seasonal. When a specific case was used, about 60% of cases occurred within the 4 months from June to September. And this is my bibliography, and I'll open the floor to questions, comments, and questions.
That's in. Raise your hand if you have a question. Paul.
Jacob.
So the medicines that you went over, did you want to explain like how those how they work?
How did it work?
Like how the medicines do your things?
My research hasn't covered that, but I'll get back to you on that. Good call.
Do you know how the Anopheles mosquitoes transmit the disease from person to person?
Yes, through their bites. Dave.
Can you repeat that question louder, Dave?
How much is the vaccination cost?
My area of research doesn't cover that, so I'll get back to you. Okay.
Why is it that malaria is most prevalent in Africa?
Because due to the lack of treatment medicine there, and that they're like the areas where it's more where the climate factors there, the mosquitoes were able to survive, and that's where most children get bitten, and most children don't use they don't sleep on insect they don't sleep under insect nets. So yeah.
Humans act the same.
Wait, can you repeat the question?
Humans act the
mosquitoes are being vectored and they could be taken to the human. And is it possible for mosquitoes not infected to take blood human and get disease from human?
Yes. Miles?
You know, like a specific characteristic that shows them the mosquito has malaria.
No. Dr. Bill?
Is there a genetic blood disorder that helps to protect the indigenous population from malaria?
No, my research hasn't covered that. Okay.
Could you take a guess? Blood disease is mostly in black and Mediterranean descent. That over here makes them very sick, but over in that area, it actually protects them somewhat from malaria. All right. Look it up and then come tell me about it.
Okay. Sam?
How come the parasite doesn't infect them and it doesn't infect the mosquito?
Can you repeat the question?
How come the parasite doesn't infect the mosquitoes?
well, they do affect the mosquitoes, but it doesn't like really have like an effect on their bodies. Like they use like human blood or animal blood just for like egg reproduction.
So what's that called? The fact that the mosquito doesn't get affected, but it can bite infected people and then spread it. What's the mosquito called?
So what's the mosquito called?
Yeah, what type of transmission is that?
Mosquito borne.
Right, but it's called a vector.
Yeah.
The vector is how it goes from one person or one animal to another. And the vector is the mosquito. Did you see that in your research? You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any last questions?